No answer. No wedding date. Just long nights asking, Ya Allah, why not me? Before you blame yourself, breathe for a moment, because what feels like delay can be design. Every tear, every closed door, every lonely weekend, none of it is wasted. Sometimes Allah is not saying no. He is saying, watch how I build you first. If your heart is tired, listen closely. These 5 quiet tests might be your proof that Allah is forming the marriage you begged for. Stay with me until the end and whisper the final du'a. With Let's turn pain into purpose together. Test 1. Plans that collapse at the finish line. You thought it was finally happening. You met someone. You kept it halal. You involved your family. The conversations felt right. The connection seemed sincere. You even started making dua with their name in it. You saw a future. You made space in your heart. And then, suddenly, everything fell apart. No explanation, just silence. Or worse, confusion, hesitation, and then the words you never expected. It's not going to work out. In that moment, your world cracked. Not just because you lost a person, but because you had already imagined a life. You had dreams tied to that plan. You believed that staying away from haram would protect you from heartbreak. You thought doing things the right way meant the ending would also be right. But it still ended. You ask yourself, why would Allah let it begin if it was never meant to last? This pain isn't easy, and the question itself is heavy. But sometimes Allah lets you feel closeness with someone, not because they are the destination, but because they're a mirror. They show you what's still fragile inside you. They expose what you believe about love, trust, and tawakkul. They enter your life, not to stay, but to awaken you. Maybe you thought that person would complete your story, but Allah knew they were only a sentence in the first chapter. Because the one He has written for you, that person needs a version of you that hasn't fully emerged yet. And so He removed what felt right at the wrong time to protect the right thing at the right time. You didn't lose a blessing. You lost the illusion of it. Because real blessings don't end in confusion, anxiety, or silence. They come with clarity, peace, and deep alignment. And yes, maybe you were sincere. Maybe you gave your best. But sincerity is never wasted. It becomes a seed. And sometimes Allah breaks your heart open just enough for that seed to take root. So don't think you were punished. Don't think your dua was rejected. Sometimes what breaks your heart is exactly what strengthens your spine. Sometimes the people who leave weren't meant to stay. They were sent to shape the heart that will one day carry a love that's pure, gentle, and grounded in Iman. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us, "You should know that what has passed you by was never going to befall you, and what has befallen you was never going to pass you by." So even in your sadness, remind yourself, this wasn't failure, it was formation. Because Allah doesn't take something from you without preparing to give you something far better. Test 2. Invisible in a world of haram. Attention. You look around and wonder if you're invisible. People post pictures holding hands, wearing matching rings, planning weddings with ease. You scroll through your feed and it feels like the whole world is getting chosen, while you're still trying to lower your gaze, guard your heart, and stay within the lines Allah set. Sometimes it hurts, not because you don't believe in modesty, but because modesty often feels lonely. Because while others are being praised for their beauty, you're wondering if anyone even notices your dignity. You don't flirt. You don't chase. You don't expose your body to get attention. You're just waiting. And deep down you ask yourself, what if no one ever chooses someone like me? What if being halal means being forgotten? But here's the truth. You are not forgotten. You are being protected. Not from love, but from the kind that breaks you before it builds you. Because not all attention is good attention, and not all love is clean. Some people are visible because they're easy to reach. But you're hidden, because Allah is reserving you for someone who looks with purpose, not desire. Someone who sees your faith before your face. Someone who respects your silence more than others praise your selfies. It might feel like everyone is winning without limits. But what looks like freedom can often be a trap. Because haram love feels sweet until it poisons your peace. And what you're doing? Staying within boundaries. Turning down attention that feels tempting. Choosing purity when your soul craves connection. That's not weakness. That's worship. Every time you scroll past a haram relationship and say, Ya Allah, I trust you more than I trust this feeling, you're being refined. Every time you walk away from what feels good but isn't good for you, you're walking toward the person Allah is preparing for you. And don't let Shaitan lie to you. Don't let him whisper that you're too boring, too covered, too strict to be loved. Because Allah sees you. He sees what you hide from the world. He hears the dua you whisper at night when the loneliness gets heavy. And He knows the kind of love you long for, that's safe, honest, and full of sakina. Real love isn't rushed. It isn't loud. It doesn't demand you to expose your soul for shallow validation. It comes quietly, from someone who fears Allah and prays for a spouse who does too. So if you feel alone in your modesty, just know that you're not unseen. You're being preserved. Because when the right heart finds you, they won't fall in love with what the world praises. They'll fall in love with the way you protected your heart for the sake of Allah. And that kind of love, it lasts beyond this world. Test 3. Dua. That feels heavy instead of hopeful. You've been making the same dua for what feels like forever. Night after night, you whisper it into your pillow. Some nights with full hope, some nights with tears, and some nights with nothing but silence in your chest. At first, your dua came from a place of excitement, from belief, from dreams of what could be. You imagined a beautiful beginning, a spouse who completes your faith, a home filled with barakah, laughter, and peace. But over time, the silence became heavy. You kept asking, and nothing changed. No sign, no message, no proposal, no movement. And so a new kind of pain began to grow. Not just from the weight, but from the feeling of being unheard. You began to wonder, did my dua get lost? Is Allah ignoring me? What am I doing wrong? This is the part most people don't talk about. Not every test comes with clear pain. Some come with silence that echoes so loudly it shakes your iman. You keep saying, Ya Allah, I trust you. But inside, you're breaking a little more each day. But listen closely. Silence from Allah is never neglect. It's preparation. When nothing is changing on the outside, it often means everything is changing on the inside. Because what if your dua isn't just about the spouse? What if it's about building the version of you who's ready to receive that kind of love? Maybe you're still learning how to be emotionally steady. Maybe you're still healing from wounds you never told anyone about. Maybe the person you're praying for is also praying, but they too are still becoming. So Allah, in His perfect wisdom, delays the meeting until both hearts are strong enough to hold what He's preparing. Because love that isn't grounded in healing will eventually collapse. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, Your dua is answered, so long as you are not hasty, saying, I made dua, but I wasn't answered. This isn't just a saying, it's a diagnosis of the soul. Most people give up right before the opening comes. They stop asking, thinking that silence means rejection. But Allah never wastes your tears, never forgets your whispers, never ignores your longing. He just responds in the timing that serves your growth, not your frustration. And maybe, just maybe, the delay is not punishment. It's a sign that the marriage you're asking for is too valuable to be rushed. You asked for a spouse with iman, with good character, with the ability to lead or support you through this dunya. So do you think that kind of gift comes without delay? Allah doesn't give you scraps. He gives you exactly what your soul needs, but only when it's strong enough to carry it with gratitude, not desperation. And maybe that's why the waiting hurts. Because dua isn't just a request, it becomes a mirror. It reveals your dependence, your trust, your fears, and most importantly, your relationship with the one you're asking. This delay might be the very thing pulling you closer to Allah. Every sajda, every tear, every time you turn to Him instead of turning to people, you're becoming stronger than you realize. One day, when Allah does answer, you'll look back and realize something beautiful. You weren't being punished. You were being built. And the love you receive won't feel like a rescue. It'll feel like a reward. Because you didn't beg for love from people. You begged from the one who owns all hearts. And He never forgets. So don't give up. Not now. Not when you're this close. Not when every unanswered dubra is building a foundation beneath your feet. A foundation so strong that when your spouse finally arrives, you'll stand beside them as someone who didn't just wait, but became. Keep praying, keep trusting, because even in silence, Allah is answering. Test 4. Everyone racing ahead while you stand still. Everyone seems to be moving forward fast. Your friends are getting married. Some are announcing pregnancies. Others are already building homes, choosing baby names, booking vacations as couples. You try to smile for them. You try to be happy. But deep down, there's a quiet ache in your chest. Because no matter how much you've done, no matter how much you've prayed, your life still feels paused. You're not lazy. You've been trying. You've made dubra. You've stayed away from haram. You've worked on yourself. But you're still standing in the same place waiting. Waiting for the right person. Waiting for the right time. Waiting for the right something that never seems to arrive. And the hardest part? The silence is loud, but the whispers in your mind are louder. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe Allah has chosen others over me. Maybe this wait means I'm being punished. But pause for a moment and ask yourself this. What if the wait isn't about punishment at all? What if Allah is not stopping your life? He's slowing it down to prepare you. In a world that celebrates speed, sometimes Allah builds you in stillness. Because here's the truth. Not every delay is a punishment. Sometimes it's a classroom. While others are moving fast, Allah is taking His time with you. Because He's not building an ordinary love story. He's building a love story with purpose, with peace, with foundations that will hold under the weight of real life. You see, when a building is going to be tall, its foundation must go deep. And maybe that's what's happening to you right now. Everyone else may look like they're ahead, but Allah is planting your roots where no one can see. Deep enough to carry storms, strong enough to hold a family, quiet enough to teach you humility, and slow enough to make sure you don't fall for the wrong thing out of desperation. People may laugh at your timeline. They may say things like, "You're too picky," or "You're missing your chance." But only Allah knows what would have happened if He had let you rush. Only Allah knows which heartbreak He blocked, which storm He delayed, which soul He's still shaping to match yours. Sometimes the delay isn't just about you. It's about them. your future spouse. They might be going through their own fire right now, their own process, their own breaking. And maybe Allah is making you wait, not because you're behind, but because the person you're meant to walk with isn't ready yet. Would you rather meet them broken and confused, or whole and guided? And sometimes Allah isolates you not to harm you, but to elevate you. You might feel left out, but in reality, you've been pulled aside for private preparation. You're learning how to be emotionally grounded, how to say no when it's hard, how to pray from your gut, not just your tongue, how to love Allah without conditions, not just for what He gives, but for who He is. You are not stuck. You are not forgotten. You are not rejected. You are being preserved. You are being matured. You are being shown who you are before someone else is shown to you. Because what good is marriage if you walk into it with unhealed wounds? What good is a spouse if you crumble under pressure? What good is love if you don't even know how to protect your peace? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "No fatigue, nor disease, nor sorrow, nor sadness, nor hurt, nor distress befalls a Muslim, even the prick he receives from a thorn, but that Allah expiates some of his sins for it." That means even your waiting, even your sighs, even your lonely tears late at night are not wasted. Every time you get invited to a wedding and you smile through the acre warded, every time you delete a contact that brings you closer to haram rewarded, every time you turn to the Quran instead of giving in to depression rewarded, every single breath you take while being patient is not lost in the air. It is written. It is valued. It is building you. You don't need to chase anyone. You don't need to match society's pace. You don't need to prove anything, because Allah already knows what He's forming inside you. And what He gives after long waiting always comes with a kind of barakah that fast paths never bring. So the next time someone asks why you're still not married, why you're still waiting, why you're not moving ahead, just smile, because they don't know what Allah is doing behind the scenes. They don't see the storms you avoided. They don't feel the calm being built inside you. And they don't know the kind of spouse Allah is preparing for you. You're not being left behind. You're being built up, because the future Allah is forming for you requires a version of you that's steady, strong, and deeply connected to Him. And He will never give you less than what your soul truly needs. Test 5. When Allah isolates you, the night is quiet, but your mind is loud. Everyone else has gone to sleep, yet the whispers in your head keep circling like restless birds. They repeat the same sentence in 100 different ways. You're too broken to be loved. They remind you of every flaw you see in the mirror, the scar on your heart that never fully closed, the mistakes you made before you knew better, the anger that sometimes slips out when you're tired, the insecurity that turns your voice small in gatherings. You replay scenes you regret, a harsh word, a broken promise, a friendship that ended in silence. Shaitan strings them together like dark beads, telling you, "Look, this is who you are. Why would anyone choose this mess?" Your chest tightens. You start believing that maybe the whispers are facts. You scroll through photos of smiling couples and wonder how much damage they had to hide to look that happy. Then you compare their tidy smiles to the clutter inside your own soul, and your hope shrinks a little more. But before you sink into that spiral, remember this. Shaitan has only two main tactics: distraction and despair. If he can't pull you outside the lines with distraction, he'll push you inside a cage of despair. Because when a believer surrenders to despair, prayer grows quiet, gratitude dries up, and love for Allah starts to fade like ink left in the sun. That is the real victory He wants, more than any single sin. Allah tells us in the Quran, Surah Az-Zumar 39:53, "Say, O my servants who have wronged themselves, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins." The verse does not say some sins or small sins. It says all without exception, because His mercy isn't limited by your mistakes. It's only limited by your willingness to return to Him. Think about the people Allah loved most. The Prophet Yunus left his people in frustration, was swallowed by a whale, and still Allah answered his plea from the depths. The Prophet Musa accidentally took a life, fled as a refugee, and still Allah spoke to him directly. The Prophet Ibrahim was thrown into a fire for rejecting idols, yet the fire turned cool and safe. These stories aren't fairy tales. They're divine reminders that broken moments do not break your future with Allah. They become the very soil where new faith can grow. Your wounds are not disqualifications, they are invitations. If a wall has no cracks, light cannot enter. If soil is never tilled, seeds cannot sink deep enough to sprout. And if a heart never breaks, it never opens wide enough to truly hold another heart with gentleness and empathy. You say, "But my past is dark." Yet Allah calls Himself a Nurth light. Light wasn't made for places already bright. It was made for places covered in shadow. Bring your darkness to Him and watch how He writes hope into lines you thought were permanent scars. You say, "But my anger is strong." Remember that even the companions had tempers before Islam refined them. Umar ibn al-Khattab was feared for his strength and his harshness, yet when faith settled in his chest, he became a door of justice for the entire Ummah. Fire, when contained, becomes warmth. When uncontrolled, it burns. Allah is teaching you containment, so that one day your strength will warm a household instead of burning it. You say, "But my sadness is heavy." The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ buried children with his own hands, lost the love of his life Khadija, and was driven out of his hometown. Grief did not disqualify him from greatness. It deepened his compassion. It trained him to wipe the tears of orphans, because he knew the taste of tears firsthand. So, when those whispers tell you you're too broken, answer them with dhikr. Say, "Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil." Allah is enough for me and the best disposer of affairs. Repeat it until the words carve a path through the fog, because dhikr is not just speech, it is armor. It is the spiritual reality that pushes back the invisible claws of despair trying to grip your heart. Now imagine the spouse Allah is forming for you. Do you think they need someone flawless? Or do they need someone real? Someone who understands struggle, someone who can stand beside them on the hardest days and say, "I know what hurt feels like, but I also know what healing looks like." People who have never bled may look shiny, but they often shatter at the first cut. People who have healed learn how to carry others through storms. Allah may be turning your wounds into wisdom, so you can love with insight, not just emotion. Perhaps the spouse you will one day meet is learning similar lessons right now. They may be on their prayer mat, asking Allah to fix the same flaw you're worried about in yourself. Their tears might be softening their character, just as yours are polishing your patience. Two souls shaped by mercy are being prepared on parallel roads that will one day merge. In moments of deep doubt, place your hand over your heart and remember the promise of Allah, Surah Ash-Shar 94:5-6. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Notice he repeats it twice, as if to nail it into your mind that ease is guaranteed, not optional. The grammar in Arabic even suggests that every single hardship comes wrapped with its own tailor-made ease. So your hardship of feeling broken has its personal ease already written, maybe in the form of an unexpected conversation that lifts you, a lecture that hits home, a sujood where you finally feel heard. Say you look at old mistakes and feel unworthy. Remember that sincere tawbah turns past sin into future reward, because the one who repents becomes beloved to Allah. It's not just that the sin is erased. It can be transformed into good deeds in your record. That means the pages you want to rip out might one day shine brightest in your book of deeds if you tether them to repentance and growth. And what if the very traits you hate now will be the reason your marriage flourishes later? Your shyness could become gentleness with your spouse. Your overthinking could become thoughtful planning for your family. Your past loneliness could make you fiercely protective of your partner's feelings. Allah wastes nothing. He recycles pain into purpose the way the earth recycles fallen leaves into fertile soil. So the next time those whispers scream that you are too damaged, answer back with certainty. I am not damaged without hope. I am a canvas Allah is still painting. Let tears fall in sujood and name each fear to Allah. He already knows, but naming it aloud is you handing it over. Tell him you're afraid of repeating mistakes, of hurting someone new, of never being chosen. Ask him to replace fear with readiness, shame with humility, self-doubt with tawakkul. Picture the day your dua is answered. You will stand in nikah, nervous yet calm, realizing in a single heartbeat why every lonely night mattered. Every tear watered a seed you couldn't see. Every whispered istighfar softened land your spouse could stand upon safely. Every late-night sujood forged a door in your heart that now opens to peace instead of panic. And on that day you may remember this very moment. The night you almost believed you were unlovable. You'll smile at the memory because it will feel like someone else's story. That's how complete Allah's healing can be, turning past nightmares into distant lessons, leaving only wisdom behind. So for now, hold on. Not in passive waiting, but in active becoming. Feed your soul Quran, even if only a verse a day. Speak gratitude aloud for small mercies, so hope stays alive. Keep company with people who remind you of Allah, because voices around you can either drown the whispers or echo them. And if the whispers return, and they will, remember that their existence is proof you still care, proof you haven't given up, proof you are close to something sacred. Shaitan whispers loudest when a breakthrough is near, because he is desperate to turn you back. In the end, what is written for you will arrive, not when you are perfect, but when you are prepared. Prepared doesn't mean spotless. It means aware, humble, relying on Allah more than on yourself. So breathe in hope, breathe out doubt, and let this truth settle. You are a work in progress, under the care of the Most Merciful. The carpenter never throws away the wood because of rough edges, he sands them. The jeweler never discards a gem because it's unpolished, he cuts it. And Allah never abandons a heart because it is bruised, he heals it. When you feel the whispers rising, place your hand over your pulse and feel it beat. Each beat is a personal message. Allah still sustains me, so he must still want me. And the one who wants you will never leave you half-formed. He will finish what he started, and he will not just grant you a marriage, he will grant you a partnership lit by the same light he used to mend your cracks. Hold on, he's not done. You've walked through every test plans that collapsed, loneliness in modesty, endless dubar, the slow timeline, and whispers that question your worth. If even one of those moments felt like your own story, know this: you are not stuck, you are being shaped. Allah is not withholding love from you. He is teaching you how to hold it with strength and mercy when it finally arrives. Every silent tear was written. Every private sajda was recorded. Every Ya Allah, I trust you, was heard before it left your lips. So rise from this reminder, lighter than you entered it. Turn each weight into worship, each whisper of doubt into dhikr, each lonely night into a conversation with the Lord of Hearts. When your heart calms, the road ahead clears. Now breathe, place your hand over your chest, and repeat softly, Ya Allah, form me with patience, fill me with peace, and send me a spouse who brings me closer to you. If that prayer touched you, type it below so someone scrolling by knows they're not alone. Share this message with a friend who's waiting, and subscribe for more words that heal. What is written for you is on its way, moving silently with the mercy of the Most Kind. Trust the journey, keep your head high, and remember, what misses you was never meant to be yours. What is meant for you can never bypass you.